Hello, hello. How you doing? How you doing?
It's- yeah, well, Spike and Shannon, thank you both so much for being here. We're gonna keep this casual, and we'll have time for Q&A at the end. So let's get into it. Spike, your career has spanned 40 years, and in many of our minds, it really began in a unique way with film. But the thing that many of us really became to know you about or know you for was the Air Jordan commercials. We knew Mars
At the
from
beginning.
at the beginning. So I would love to know, like, how'd you meet MJ? How'd you meet Nike? How did this thing get started?
Well, it's as you said, there was a point when the commercials came out that people didn't know that I was the director. They didn't know where Mars Blackman came from.
Right.
So I did my first film was a film called She's Gonna Have It. I played the character.
Yeah.
Thank you. The character was Mars Blackman, and Mars is the original sneakerhead. It's a fact. He wore Jordans. In fact, when he made love to Nola Darling, he kept his Jordans on. If you've seen the movie. And Jim Riswell and Bill Davenport, who worked for the late Mr. White and Mr. Kennedy, who recently passed, the agency, they've been Nike's agency from the get. They're in Beaverton, Oregon, and they saw the film, and there was their genius to say, let's pair this character, Mars, with Michael Jordan. So they called me up and they said they liked the film and they pitched me, said, we want you to direct it, we want you to bring back Mars. I want to be in black and white like the film is. And there was one hitch. Michael Jordan had just signed a deal with Nike. David Falk did the deal. And Michael had director's cut approval. Now, Michael had never heard of me. He had never seen the film. So it wasn't until, I forget the year, 2 or 3 years ago, the All-Star game was in Toronto, and it was freezing, that I finally got enough courage to ask my main man, Money, why did he choose me? Because he could have chosen, I'd never even done a commercial before. She's Got was my first film. I mean, he could have gotten a whole bunch of the top commercial directors from Madison Avenue. But I never asked him that. So I finally got the courage to ask him. He said, motherfucker, you wearing my shoes. And that is not the only time my brothers call me motherfucker. So I have the pleasure and honor of be calling the MF by, and look, I want to get into arguments, but he's my GOAT, you know, so, and I respect LeBron too, you know, he's doing so. Again, Michael doesn't even use that. He says, you know, people play different eras. But the strange, it's not strange. As you heard earlier, I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, but my family moved to Brooklyn, New York, 1963. And my parents bought our brownstone, 1968, in Fort Greene for $45,000. All right. Fort Greene's in the house. So there's a hospital in Fort Greene called Cumberland Hospital. Bernard Albert King was born there. Mike Tyson was born there. Also Michael Jordan. So Michael Jordan was born in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. So I can't say nothing about North Kakalaki, but we claim it in Brooklyn. Mike is from the People's Republic of Brooklyn, New York. So in a lot of ways, it's karma that he was born in a hospital, where I grew up.
Brilliant. You see, the stories you can tell. We want to hear more of them as time goes on. But it was clear, and I'm directing this to you, Shannon. It was clear that this man's work in those spots really resonated with people. And you're responsible for Jordan brand. At the time, there was no Jordan brand. It was Nike and Air Jordan. And I just want to point out, if you guys could not tell, she's a black woman in charge of Jordan brand. That's not lost on me, because when this whole thing started, there was no you in the room, as the movie Air just kind of showed us. Tell me why Spike Lee / Mars Blackman resonated so much with culture. How did it both made it so different and special?
Hey, everybody. When we think about the Jordan brand, the best articulation I can say about our secret sauce is that we are not for the people, we are of the people. And Spike's original work really tapped into the cultural insight. He, for the first time, put sneaker culture on full display, that intersection of the game and the street, and that's what made it special. The other thing that I will say is, at Jordan Brand, we really, really try hard to not just be past, but future-facing. And we know our consumer of today is much like our consumer was 35 years ago, where they want to lead. They don't want to be told what to do. And as we think about the interactions that we have with our creative community, we make sure that we give them a playground to play in, but always connected to our values. The thing that Spike was able to bring out was his authenticity, his creative eye, his directive vision, and we try to keep that going, even to our latest launch with Tiana Taylor and her sneaker collection. You know, we had a female creative crew with the aunties and Tiana's vision, but we let her play in the playground that was grounded in our brand values. And that's what's critically important. It was critically important 35 years ago, and it's the part of our DNA from a relationship and family perspective that we always want to hold true to.
And I like to add that I really can't speak about other parts of the world, but in New York City, sneakers are the shit. And I remember I had to beg my parents for a year so they would give me $5 to buy a pair of Converse. Cons. I know they call them Chucks other place. We call them Cons. And two colors, white or black, high top or low. And if you're gonna have Cons and you came out with some Skippies, oh, you better stay home, because the first thing they do, they see what you were wearing, and they show you the impact of sneakers. I still remember, we used to say this: if your sneakers slip and slide, get the ones that start on the side. Ask your mom to empty your purse. They say the ones, Converse. This from 1964. I still remember that. So it's, I'm not comparing anything, but man, if you come out with some, you will get, you guys to stay inside. And also your sneakers had to be clean. So, but I'm not gonna lie, when my brother Walt Frazier came out with them Pumas, and then you had the tube socks, and you had the dye, the red dye getting on the tubes. Your tube socks, huh? Fat laces. I mean, it was just Run DMC. You know, my Adidas is just a part of the culture, and that's when I was writing the character Mars Blackman. That's who Mars comes from. That you know, as I said before, he's a sneakerhead, and thank God that you know everything happened, because it blew it blew Nike up to the stratosphere, and with combine that with Mike did as it was a social phenomenon, and it was a blessing, and it still is, and I'm glad to see all the people that gave me a shout out, and it is the work, the family. My man Reggie's here. It's a family.
It's clear that's the case. And as I think about, like, if this has been a family, you have lots of children, both figuratively as it relates to the films you've made. You've made tons of brilliant feature films. I mentioned the 4 that are in the Library of Congress, but there's so many more that I didn't mention that many of us grew up in.
What sneaker I always get Roman numerals mess me up. What was He Got Game? What was that? The Denzel wore. Anybody know?
What Roman numeral was the Jordan that he was wearing?
What Jordan did Denzel wear? He Got Game. No one knows.
2? It was either 4 or 2. Because this was like 86.
Yeah, I'm talking about what sneaker did Denzel wear in He Got Game?
Oh, and He Got Game.
We had a scene where he's buying a sneaker.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was 13s? Yeah,
Somebody could look it up.
Find that out.
I mean, I wrote that wrote in the script. Denzel's gonna go in the sneaker store to buy some Jordans. That's another story, man. Something else. Tell a story. A lot of people don't know Denzel played junior varsity at Fordham. And P.J. Carissimo was his coach. So as soon as Denzel got money, he had season tickets with the Lakers. So he was always taking ball. So in the script, the son, Jesus, is supposed to be Jake, the father, 11 zip. And this is Ray Allen's first film, so if Spike wrote, I'm supposed to win 11-0, 11 zip, I'm supposed to win. But Denzel, excuse my language, Denzel was like, fuck that. And Denzel was throwing up banking in some lucky shit. And it was going in. He really felt good. It was like 5-0. And Ray Allen, again, this is Ray's first film, so instead of saying, cut, he's giving me like, timeout, Spike, timeout, like it's a basketball game. It's like, Spike, the script said, I'm like. And then Ray said, oh, that shit's over. And then he scored like 11 baskets straight, but for Denzel, like that was a moral victory. He scored 5 baskets on one of the greatest players ever. But thank you for getting that in there.
13s.
Yeah.
It's the 13s. And Spike brought it to us.
Yeah, and
Shannon?
Spike mentioned Reggie. I don't see Reggie. I'm looking for
Where's Reggie?
But if you think about
Reggie, where you at?
where you at, Reggie?
Stand up, raise your hand, Reggie.
Yeah.
Reggie. So Reggie has been.
Reggie, stand up so we can see you.
We trying to give you
Give Reggie
flowers,
some
brother.
love.
We trying to give you flowers. Through the history of this brand, we've always had our finger on the pulse of culture, and it's in large part due to the people that we choose to be in relationship with. And as long as I've been at Jordan, I've really begun to understand it's not about a paycheck. It's about people really understanding the soul of this brand, which Spike is the architect, if we really want to think about it, of the soul of this brand, but having the connection point with people who are able to put culture on display. And Reggie and his role for the last, I think, 20 years.
How many years? Whew, all right.
Years. We have been trying to partner in ways that are new and different, but continue to keep our brand at the center of culture. And so thank you to Spike for all of the work you're doing. But Reggie, just want to give you your flowers for the last 20 years of doing this.
Reggie Saunders. Reggie. And I would like to, so we were doing Malcolm X, and from the jump, the film was under budgeted. And the great Marvin Work, really one of the heroes of the film, because he bought the rights 20 years and been trying to get it made. And so when the opportunity came to do this film, my brother Denzel, even though we knew we didn't have no money, but there's always this thing about get the studio pregnant. So Warner Brothers, myself, the bond company all knew going into this endeavor that there would come a point where we run out of money. And at the time, we knew this film had to be 3 hours plus to tell Malcolm's story, to see the evolution that Denzel, I mean, for me, that's one of the greatest performers ever, whether he won the Academy Award or not.
Facts.
You know, I don't know why more people ain't clapping.
Yeah, I was
behind
shocked about that.
but,
Have you guys not seen this film?
Thank
If you have not seen this film, must see TV between now and the end of the month. Get it done. It's unbelievable.
So we had to, eventually you have to show it to the studio, and they weren't behind the length of the film that we needed to tell this story. Denzel's playing 5 different versions as he evolved as a human being. You can't cut down to 2 hours. And they said you have to cut the film. I said, I'm not doing it. And then they pulled the power move and stopped financing the film. Sent registered letters to all the people in post-production that your services are no longer needed. And Denzel and I started working on the film a year before we started to shoot. Denzel stopped drinking alcohol, no more pork, learned to read and pray in Arabic, doing everything that he needed to do. I'm not naming no names, but a lot of people do, not a lot, but there are actors who, when they do autobiographical films, they think that if they speak like them and wear a wig or something, that that's it. But that's surface. Denzel knew that he had to get his mind, body, and soul in a space so the spirit of Malcolm could come through his performance. And there were several times where cast and crew, we had to pinch ourselves because we thought we were seeing the reincarnation of Malcolm. There's one scene particular. If you remember the scene where there's a big painting of Honorable Elijah Muhammad, played by the great Al Freeman Jr. And again, this is film, not digital, so there's only 10 minutes and a 35 millimeter magazine. So Denzel's killing. I'm standing next to my brother, Ernest Dickerson, great cameraman. Ernest and I went to NYU together. Before that, we came in together. He went to Howard, I went to Morehouse, so we were together. Ernest shot all my films at NYU, then She's Gonna Have It, School Days, Do the Right Thing, Mo Better, Jungle Fever, Malcolm X, beautiful brother. So I'm standing next to Ernest. Denzel's giving his ripping performance, and Ernest let me know, we're about to roll out. So, all the speeches up this point were Malcolm's exact words. So Ernest tells me there's like a minute left in the mag. Denzel's still going. He says, Spike, we're gonna roll out. But Denzel keeps going. I mean, he didn't roll it right in the middle of his thing, but he got on script. And we were like, WTF. Finally, he says, Spike, we rolled out. So I walk up to Denzel, and his eyes are glazed over. His eyes are glazed over. I'm like, I don't know where he is. I said, yo, D, what's up? He said, Spike, I don't know. And it was that year that he put in. You have, ladies and gentlemen, we're all creative people here. You got, excuse my language, but you got to put the motherfucker work in. You got to. You got that shenanigans, skullduggery, subterfuge don't work. You have to put the work in. And Denzel had the foresight to say, Malcolm X, he started working a year before we started to shoot. He ain't got a check? Denzel? My brother. All right, thank you. Peace and love, peace and love. But to get back to the story, you know, I had to become, in order to do this film, I had to become a student of Malcolm. And so I put $1 million of my salary already into the budget. So I can do no more. And we were flat busted. And then I began to think about our brother. And self-reliance, self-determination. Self-reliance, self-determination, where we as a people, we have the means and the ways, when we get our shit together, do we gotta do. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I know some black folks with some money. And I got their cell phone number. So I made a list of these individuals. But here's the tricky thing. This ask was not asking people to invest in the film for return, because that wasn't happening. Warner Brothers wasn't doing that, and also was not going to be a tax write-off. This is have to be a gift. So even after I got the list, it still took me another 2 weeks to get up the courage to call these individuals, because this was gonna make, the film was gonna come out, because I was not gonna put out the lesser version of the film, but they put their feet down that they're not gonna give us any more money. But another thing though is that, quick aside, when they told me it had to be 2 hours, I knew Oliver Stone's JFK was coming out. So I asked him, how long is JFK? He said 2 hours, Spike. They didn't know I knew Oliver Stone. So I called Oliver. I was like, Oliver, how long is JFK? He said, Spike, 3 hours. Won't tell him. So I knew this was okey doke. JFK was gonna be 3 hours. Great film too. So I called these individuals. Bill Cobbs was the first person. Peggy Cooper Capers, phenomenal philanthropist who was giving out money. Prince, Janet Jackson, Tracy Chapman. I always forget people, and it's horrible, but my memory's getting bad. There was 2 people left on the list. Called it magic. Boom. And once everybody said yes on the phone call. They didn't say, I'll call you back. And another thing is, like, every time I made a call, the next call I was asked for more money. So shit was escalating. And the last call was my brother from the People's Republic of Brooklyn, New York, Fort Greene in the house. And Michael's legendary for his competitiveness. So I just let it slip how much Magic gave. Magic game, what? Boom! And then those individuals, that is how I rehired the production, my editors, they were fired. And we kept working on the film. There was no interaction between us and the student and bond company. And at Malcolm's birthday, we had a press release at the Schomburg Library in Harlem, USA, 135th Street in Lenox, where we announced these prominent African Americans came through. And the next day, they started to refinance the film. So again, that's another, a tribute to Michael, who, and I like to say this. Mike does a whole lot of stuff you don't hear about. He does it on the low, low, low. Stuff you even dream of. So this rap that Mike doesn't do something for black folks is bullshit. Mike, believe me, he comes through.
Yep. When we think about Michael, couldn't agree more. And after all of the negative things in the States that happened after George Floyd, and a lot of bias really came to the forefront, Michael called our brand and said, we have to do something in this moment. And we have to turn this moment into a movement that pushes forward education, pushes forward innovation, pushes forward economic empowerment, pushes forward social justice. And so our brand, in partnership with Michael, started the Black Community Commitment. He pledged $100 million to give away over 10 years. We've already given away $30 million to the Black community. And so when we talk about his heart and putting his wallet where his heart is, Michael really does push that legacy forward.
So Spike, it occurred to me when Tina Turner died just recently, as I was grieving that moment, when Tina Turner died, and I was grieving that moment, that she was really, really hot before I was born. And I know of her through the great work of Angela Bassett and the filmmakers. And I know Malcolm X the exact same way. What Denzel and you did through that film changed the face of America, because there was a whole generation of black and brown and non-black and brown people who had not learned about Malcolm in a book, because they weren't teaching about Malcolm in the schools, at least not the schools that I was going to. Without you, we wouldn't know that man. And I just want to say personally, thank you for changing the way I see the world.
Thank you. And another thing I'd like to add is that a lot of people had never picked up the autobiography of Malcolm X that's told Alex Haley. So in addition, they were reading the book before they saw the film, reading after. So that was furthering, the education about our brother.
You had me wearing a Malcolm X hat and a medallion and reading long books, and it was cultural impact in a real way. So I want to save a little bit of time for questions, but I have a quick one for you, and then a quick one for you. You work for Air Jordan. You guys make some amazing shoes. In fact, Spike's rocking his Jordan. And we have beautiful Jordan fits. Why don't you, can you please?
Collection,
I was like,
female collection.
Shannon rolls up in a sweatsuit. I'm like, girl, you're gonna die. And I didn't notice it was vented. It was all.
I got a front.
You looked at my feet.
The women's shoes. I'm buying a lot of. I wear a 9.5. So a lot of the freshest stuff is for the women. What's up with that? Luckily, I have a smaller foot that I can rock it.
So rapid fire question to you.
Yes.
We'll call this a shot clock round.
Okay.
Favorite Jordan shoe?
The one.
The one?
All day.
The one. Any fans of the one out there? Spike, rapid shot clock. Oh, you want to answer the question too?
Two. The one that Mars wore, and also the red, black, and green Spizikes. Classic.
Ooh. All right. So, Spike, you've been also known for talking a little trash to legitimate basketball players while they're playing the game. So much so that there's a document.
I never talk trash to Michael Jordan.
No. You never did that. No, Reggie Miller says you did.
Oh, yeah, but not the mic though.
Oh, not to Mike, not to Mike.
No, no.
To other players. You have done a lot of trash talking from the sideline. It's affected their game. Some would say it's moved whole series, and people don't have rings now because of you in some cases, as they say. I didn't say that, though.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Now he wants to pause.
When I had the altercation with Reggie Miller, that was game 5. And he scored like 8 points. Anyway, he went crazy. Game 6 was back in Indianapolis. And everybody thought the Knicks would lose game 6. John Starks went off at the end of the game. We came back to win game 7. Patrick, with the putback. So the next year when we played them, there was no talking between Reggie and I because Reggie and I got together. I mean, me and Reggie are tight. So that stuff happened 20 years ago. So people still ask, he asks us, do people ask you about me? Say, me and Reggie are cool. That stuff happened 30 years ago. So that next year, when we lost to Indiana, when Patrick missed the layup, that had been all squashed.
Well, I've loved this, and I feel like the audience probably has a few questions. So we have 5 minutes for questions. Someone's got to stand up right here in the front and center. Oh my goodness, you beat me to it.
Awesome. Thank you, Damien, for putting this on, man. Super groovy. Nate Nichols.
Oh, super groovy?
Yeah.
All right.
So
you
Nate
got
Nichols,
the super groovy hat.
Thanks, dog. So my name is Nate Nichols, creative director, founder of a creative shop and production company out of Bed-Stuy. Right on
Would
the
die.
Hey. And my question to you, Spike, is, we're already doing some fun global commercial work, but we are starting to venture off in the original production game now. And so what advice do you have for young shop owners and producers and or directors navigating that balance between commercial work and production work?
Let me ask a question. What's your name again?
Nate Nichols,
Where is your office?
some Bed-Stuy on
Where am I at?
Broadway and Lexington.
No. Where am I at?
Port Green.
Call
Down the
me.
block. Down the block.
What neighborhood is between
Nothing.
Bed-Stuy and Fort Greene?
Nothing.
Clinton Hill.
Yeah, good point. But nothing really. It's a bike ride. It's an Uber.
Oh, so how long
I
you
get on
had?
my skateboard.
Brother man, Mr. Groovy. How long you had your agency?
Oof. I founded it in Philly. So I had it for a beat since 2015.
You don't know where I am?
I mean, I know where you are right now.
Yeah, but where am?
Well, I can see you right now, dog.
All right, where's your stuff to hand me?
Excuse me. One more time.
Where's your stuff to hand me?
Oh. Yeah, I got
See,
you, dog.
this is what
I
I'm
got you,
talking
dog.
about.
Yeah. Say less. I gave all my businesses a call. Wait, somebody in this crowd probably got one of my business cards.
Yeah, but you
Who want it?
we're in Brooklyn.
Yeah, we are.
Where's my office?
Down the block.
I think you should go.
Let me do another walk.
Yeah. I'll pull up. I'll
should
pull
pull up.
I'm passing the mic.
Brother man, and all love. I didn't do that to blow up your spot.
No, not at all. I'm hearing it.
All right.
I'm here for it.
All right.
Everyone here is holding you accountable, dog. We got the receipts. So
Okay.
We're on video.
Yes, I will see you. You know where my office is. Fort Greene. Between DeKalb and Lafayette. You know where. All right.
Spike,
What's up?
Bob Ingram, Lafayette Avenue, PS20.
You went to 20?
PS20.
All right.
5-1.
Brooklyn's in the house tonight.
Yeah.
Fort Greene.
Spike, a lot of people didn't see a phenomenal speech you gave when the Academy Award finally recognized you. And I think you had Denzel there and Wesley Snipes and, some people that dreamed when you broke them. There's a lot of dreamers in the audience right now. And, I would just like for you to just share that moment, because more often than not, we as a people don't come together and understand the power that we have in believing in each other and pushing the dream. So if you could share a little bit of that, I think the audience would get something out of it.
Thank you for that question. And I think it comes down to speaking specifically to our black people in the audience, is that our ancestors were stolen from Mother Africa, brought here 1619 to a land that was stolen from the native people. We were brought here to work the land that was stolen by the native people. So we have a part in building this country. You know, this is our country, just anybody else. We built this free. Our ancestors worked from Kansas City in the morning, Kansas City at night. To help build this country. And we shall not forget, we can't forget the sacrifices that our ancestors, who dreamed that one day their offspring would not be under the tier of slavery. And another thing I like to say is that and it was brought up today that someone brought it to me, I always mention I went to Morehouse. And I'm gonna say it again, my father went to Morehouse, my grandfather went to Morehouse, my mother and grandma went to Spelman. So we come from a line of educated black folks. And sometimes it's troubling to me when I see some of our young folks, and I've seen it, you know, I'm not making this up, where if you speak correct English, if you're striving to get your books, you're acting white. You're trying to be white. But if you're out in the corner drinking a 40, smoking a blunt, and your pants showing your rusty ass, then you're ghetto. Get down. In some way, between my generation and later generations, this whole thing has been flipped about what education is, but education is why we're here. It was against the law for our, and it's not slaves. Thank you, Time, for telling me there's a big difference between, she put me on point for this. So you have to stop saying slaves. It's enslaved. Enslaved. It's a big difference. When our ancestors were enslaved, it was against the law for us to read and write. And Sundays we got away because we had to study also through the guys that reading the Bible, we learn how to read and write. And if you got caught reading, there's three things that happen: whipped, castrated, or hung. If man was having a bad day, you might get that. Those three things might happen to you. So this thing where education has been, it's not everybody, but it's enough where we're making a mockery of everything that I feel our ancestors, you know, died for. Education is, you know, the key. And we just gotta, when we see young people, you know, we gotta respectfully, you know, pull their coattail, you know, like, look, maybe you should think of this a different way. So that's, for me, education, you know, is so important. I would not be here without, you know, the tradition of, you know, my family, you know, just being Morehouse, coming from out of Morehouse and Spelman. And also that's not the gate.
Fisk University, HBCU.
Hampton, you know, or Texas Southern. Let me hear somebody else. Lincoln, where else? Morgan State. FAMU, the Rattlers. What? Where? Jackson State. Yeah, so there is a tradition that, you know. Now, another thing, though, a lot of times these black schools can't give you that free check that some of these other schools, especially you gotta, you know, your test scores are high, so you gotta, and then you know, the burden your parents will bear if they can't, So you get a free ride to Harvard or Princeton, Stanford, you're gonna take it. But that's what I feel.
Thank you for that. I'm so sorry. We're not going to be able to ask any more questions.
No. That's the last.
Yes, we are going to be able to ask another question.
You're the last. You guys also So you gotta. This got to be like a walk-off homer. The Aaron Judge. This has to be an Aaron Judge. Even though it's a broken toe.
100.
This has to be an Aaron Judge.
Out the park.
Walk-off homer.
My name's Mercedes. I work with a financial technology company called wealthbuild.ai. We focus on being a financial advisor in your pocket, really segmented towards millennials of color, because financial education and literacy is vital to the success of intergenerational wealth transfer in our people of color communities. My question for you is, what was the greatest financial choice that you made in your career as an entrepreneur, creator, maker in your journey?
I'm going to answer that a different way.
By the way, representing D9, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated.
All right. The worst choice I ever made.
Those are important too.
I've been a resident for Martha's Vineyard for many years, and Circuit Avenue, OB, and a guy came up to me and said, Spike, I want to show you something. So I said, here's my car. I'm going to open up the trunk. So he opened up the trunk, and they were the ugliest shoes I ever saw in my life. And he wanted me to invest. They were Crocs.
Ouch.
Oh, my gosh.
True story. They're still ugly as a motherfucker, but still. Also, it's not only me. Recently, Magic said he get out a Nike deal.
Yeah.
Stock or something like crazy.
Yeah. He's like, what stock? I need money.
So that was a miss. So thank you, everyone, for in Hot Sun coming out. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you all. Don't leave. I really appreciate both of you guys choosing to spend their time today to be on our team, and so we want to make sure we get a quick team photo. We thank you for that. Draft style. There's yours, Spike. Give Spike Lee and Shannon some love.
All right. Thank you. All right, before
you all leave, just give us
leave.
the respect and let our CEO, Mark Penn, say a few words to close us out.
Hey. All right. Thank you, Spike, Shannon, DJ. All right, believe it or not, we're coming to the end, at least of the panel portion of Sport Beach. It's been a great week. It's been absolutely fabulous. We've had over 5,000 people come through Sport Beach. We've had over 100 speakers. We have had 125 interviews in our content studio. And we've served more than 3,000 cups of coffee, especially in the morning. Over 300 balls, 125 pickleball paddles. Wow, that's about turning. And I've always wanted to say this all my life, and I want to thank our sponsors. We had 30 sponsors. They were a tremendous group. I have a feeling many of them and us will be back next year. I want to make sure that you all heard the announcement that Stagwell now is a Fortune 1000 company on its second year out. I want to, in particular, Jay and I in particular, want to recognize Beth Sidhu, the Grand Master. She did an absolute fabulous job with her team. So that brings us to an end. Thank you so much. And until 5 p.m., play ball.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. We're just going to reset